Hello, everyone, and welcome
Or welcome back
to the Wizarding World Legacy Podcast.
where we discuss the magic of the Wizarding World's past, present, and future.
We're your hosts, Eric,
And Jasmine.
and today's missing magical moment comes from Chapter 8 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, The Potions Master.
Ah, what a lovely chapter.
Again, as we've been doing with these series, we're going to talk about some of the differences between the book presentation, the movie presentation, and how it needs to appear in the upcoming TV show. And there's a lot of fun stuff in this one, so we're going to jump right into some of the character building that we've talked about so much. Harry's fame is an important detail.
Last chapter, we left off with the students having been sorted, going to the dormitories for the first time, and falling asleep. And Harry having a scary nightmare. This chapter, we wake up, and first we hear a lot of internal exposition from Harry, which is something that we don't get in the films at all. And what this exposition explains to us is a lot about how famous Harry really is within the Wizarding World and what his experience at Hogwarts is like.
And we heard a little bit about this in earlier chapters when he was talking to Hagrid. I don't even know why I'm famous or what I'm famous for, and kind of tries to calm him down about that internal turmoil. And he's still experiencing this. He's still got this young kid angst, moving into this world he knows nothing about. And now he's going to be starting some classes.
And he's just nervous.
Yeah.
But it's weird because all of the kids at school are trying to just even see him. I mean, like, kids are outside of his classes, like, craning their necks just to try and spot him. Like, it is truly like there is a famous person in the first year class at Hogwarts.
Which, looking at kids nowadays, I think they'd be like, yeah, that's right. I'm so famous, like everyone knows me.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Unless I was famous because a monster killed my parents.
Well, I still think in some way, and maybe that's just reflective of kids nowadays.
Fair. Or it's reflective of you.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think literally kids nowadays. I'm not saying I would be like, oh, I'm so famous. I'm saying kids nowadays, I think would kind of be like, kind of revel in that. Because, I mean, in fairness, he's 11. He's not known his parents for 11 years. They've been dead for 11 years. Presumably, to some extent, he's been able to move past the trauma of that, to some extent.
He was also traumatized his whole childhood.
Right, so it's kind of old hat to him. He's kind of used to that.
I know, but I just don't think that he was, like, brought up in an environment where he could be like,
right,
I'm hot shit.
Which I think is the important distinction between kids nowadays.
Fair.
In this time frame. I don't think he'd be happy about it. About the fame, I mean. But I do think there's kind of two ways you can look at that. You can look at that as, okay, maybe I don't have to be as nervous because at least everyone kind of wants to be my friend.
Right.
Or you could be like, oh my God, and double down on it and be like, these people have these expectations for me because I'm famous and I don't understand why I'm famous.
Right.
And sort of double down on the anxiety of it.
That's true.
Which is kind of what he's doing a little bit in the beginning of this chapter.
Feels like in today's day and age, they might lean more towards that anxiety way.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Younger kids aren't, I think, inherently anxious. Like younger kids.
I guess
Although,
that's fair.
once you start to get 11,
I was going to say, it feels like 11 is when...
that starts to hit
Yeah,
nowadays.
we start to really see it.
So maybe, I don't know, it could go either way nowadays too. But there are some other fun things we get to learn about the world, the Wizarding World.
Well, so I think it's important to note that Harry Potter being so famous and popular and like a showstopper at the beginning of the series is very important, and the fact that it's so underplayed at the beginning of the films doesn't really demonstrate the contrast that we see
In later books and films.
in later books and films
Yeah.
when he gets to the point where he is hated.
By most of the school.
We need this like extreme amount of just like hype and all of the aura points at the beginning.
Yeah, and that actually kind of starts to fade quickly.
Right.
Like surprisingly quickly. Yeah, I guess I didn't put as much emphasis mentally on that, but that's an important point. He's super famous. Everyone wants to be his friend. Even Draco wants to be his friend. And then we do see that nobody wants anything to do with him. Not illustrated in the movies at all.
At all. In the
Should
first
definitely do that in
one,
the books.
you
in the
have
films.
to make it a point to really demonstrate how incredibly popular it is, so you have room for the drop-off to seem so impactful.
And there's kind of two degrees of drop-off. You get some in this book later, but you also get huge degree of it in the films later.
We go from like
I mean, in the books later.
famous to like kind of just a normal student to like hated enemy number one.
By society, not
By
just
society.
people. Yeah,
in
the
the
books.
papers.
Yeah, I would agree with that take. We definitely need to make sure that that's included in the storyline and so obvious that everyone, because other than like in the books seeing this, in the books and movies, the only other way we see that is like with Colin Creevy. Yeah.
And it's like Colin is definitely way more, because by the time we meet Colin, things have at least
Normalized a little bit.
normalized a little bit.
Yeah, people
and
are
Colin
used to-
is like way over the top about it.
Yeah, people are used to Harry Potter at least being around.
Right.
I think what I would equate it to in the real world is when Emma Watson was at Brown University.
Oh yeah.
People used to be like, she'd answer a question and they'd be like 10 points for Gryffindor. And I'm assuming by the end of the year that stopped because it's like, all right, 20 people have made that joke. It's not funny anymore.
Right.
We're all in the same class. We're all learning the same thing at the same level at this point. So you do kind of get used to that exposure at some point, numb to it, if you will. I think that there's a natural progression there that we could see, but it's way less noticeable when you don't point it out at all. In the beginning. He's just there.
Harry specifically mentions that people are outside of his classes trying to see him.
Or looking into the classroom that he's in.
From his windows. Just needs to be demonstrated.
We also get some more fun, again, world building with like the Hogwarts castle, explaining how, you know, getting from one place to another is kind of nerve-wracking because you get trick steps that just kind of disappear.
Oh my god.
The stairs move. You could end up on the other side of a tapestry and be like, where the hell am I? It's very confusing. And that prompts, obviously, the joke when they're on their way to the Transfiguration class later of, maybe I should transform one of you into a pocket watch so you're not late.
That way one of you might be on time.
And then there's the
We
map.
got lost.
Perhaps a map then. Funny joke, but legitimately might actually be useful to make one of them a map because how the hell do you find where you're going in this school?
This is all during sort of Harry's internal exposition, during which we learn that there are exactly 142 staircases at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
And what do you think about the exposition in terms of like, do we need to hear all these tiny little minute facts?
No, we don't necessarily need to hear all of them, but I think we need to hear some of them. So like we need to find a way to express it.
I think a good way to express it, and this would unfortunately be adding to the story, but you could look at it as not adding to, but reallocating. So instead of basically narrator dialogue,
Okay.
we take what would be narrator dialogue here and reallocate that to Percy in the previous chapter, and he talks to them when they're on their way to the dormitories before they run into Peeves. About, you know, in the castle, there's 142 staircases and blah, 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 like just gives all these random facts because he's a prefect and he's so smart and everybody needs to know this.
How do you like, one of his thoughts is like, honestly, it would be worth 7 missteps and 2 trick doors if it meant you could avoid running into Peeves. Like that's like a preference.
That's true. So I guess it depends on
I guess
where...
we could see them going to one of their classes and they could be like, oh, Peeves is over there, let's go this way. But then we're going to have to go through this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, it's worth it.
You could do it like that. And alternatively, if you don't want to use Percy as the, I guess, narrator of the exposition, Hermione. Like, she's always spouting out facts from Hogwarts. A history.
Ah, yes.
So you could use Hermione, like, as they're walking somewhere saying, do you know, there's 142 staircases in Hogwarts. I read all about it. You know, she doesn't have to say that line every single time, but it could be something like that. Again, I'm sort of like, let's keep it as pure as possible to the books. But if you have to reallocate narrator dialogue,
I don't think Percy is a bad call. I think that
Yeah.
you could do some to Percy. You could have a few instances where you're showing these things. And then you could also have Hermione just like spin facts.
yeah. I do think when it comes to it would be worth 3 trick steps and 7 locked doors to not come across Peeves or whatever. I do think that is one of those things where it's almost inescapable to use like that omniscient, third-person omniscient narrator. There are some things where it's like, it's a thought, but it's not a thought that makes sense to present from Harry. It's almost like it's a third party's thought when you read it in the books.
Yeah, but it is in Harry's head.
It is. Yeah.
In the books.
How you would present that is weird. I don't know. It can be done. That would take some thought.
Yes, all of it likely
Well,
takes
obviously.
some thought.
But yeah, I don't know how that would be best presented. Moving on. you bring us to our next point. So he does come across Peeves.
Yes.
On his way to his first class.
And this is, again, all just like Harry going off in his head. And he's saying, you know, when you come across Peeves, sometimes he's dropping waste paper baskets on your head. Sometimes he is pelting chalk at you.
Sneaks up behind you and grabs you because he can become corporeal because he's a poltergeist. Or he'll grab your nose and go, "Gotcha, conk," which is a weird word.
Yeah, I just hate it.
Yeah.
I don't have a good reason for it, but it bothers me.
Well, I think of like a conch shell is
It's
like
a
the only...
conch.
Isn't it a conch shell?
No, it's a conch. The most common pronunciation in the U.S. Conch shell, also widely used, especially in the Caribbean and among conch divers. I'm going with the Caribbean
Both are
pronunciation.
considered correct, though conch is the standard in an American dictionary. And we're in America, so... America!
I'm really not interested in that pronunciation.
I
Thank
knew
you,
I was
though.
right. That's what I think of.
Okay, you were both right and wrong. Both are right. So
No, I was both right and right. The other one was also right, but I was right. You can't be wrong if it's right. Right is right.
right, but you said that it was the only way to pronounce it. That's the way it
No,
was
I said
pronounced.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
Right, exactly.
Which is correct.
Indicating that you
Stop
have.
touching my hard drive.
I'm so sorry. It's right there. I fidget. God.
Anyways, it's a weird word.
Conch.
I don't like it.
But it has to be there. Just kidding, it doesn't. This piece is annoying, and I don't necessarily think it needs to be in there. We need to show Peeves being annoying, but like this doesn't necessarily need to be an.
He could just grab your nose and like go and just like fly away.
Or he can just drop waste paper baskets on you and pelt chalk at you. I
Yeah.
think we'd get it.
I don't know. Would that be more fun than the next professor that he runs into?
Bins?
Would you rather Peeves annoy the hell out of you, or would you rather be in Professor Bin's class?
Bins for sure. Peeves, no. Peeves is
Well,
just.
he
Peeves
could've-
is a dick.
He could physically harm you.
Yeah, he can
throwing
like physically.
walking sticks and stuff.
And
Yeah.
he's throwing waste paper baskets at you.
Well, they could be like literal baskets.
I still don't want it thrown at me. So,
Always put them over your head.
in short, I think that in the TV show, we don't necessarily need Peeves narrated for Harry. We could just have it shown. Some
He
of the
could be
annoying.
walking by a classroom and Peeves is dropping it on some little kid's head. Some
Exactly.
person's head. There you go.
Exactly.
We got that
Walking
solved.
by, like it could be the kind of a thing where they're like, we're gonna run into Peeves if we go this way. It's not worth it. And in the distance, you see Peeves just like pelting people with chalk.
It could be a montage of them walking somewhere. They look over. Peeves is doing something. Oh.
Exactly.
They're
and
walking
then they,
somewhere. They look over. Peeves is doing something. Oh.
and then
It's
it
just like
results in them being late to class.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That doesn't really happen, so we don't want to see it in the show.
Professor Binns is mentioned early on in this chapter as
So-
the only ghost Hogwarts professor. and he
Harry
teaches-
basically goes through all of the classes that he's in and talks about all of his faculty. This is very much shown, not told in the movies, but we completely leave out Professor Bin.
who is the only ghost professor and is very drawn, slow talking
Droning on and on.
about the Goblin Wars. Yeah, it's not shown at all in the movies. I don't even think that role was cast at all in the movies. Which is funny because we talked about Peeves and how he was cast for the movies and some other roles that were cast for the movies, but not even written into it.
They were just like, goodbye, we don't want history of magic.
And obviously that's a pretty important subject.
Pretty important role.
Just like social studies, you know, when we learn about history or social studies or all that. That aside, he also is important to the plot, especially of the next book. But it would be weird for him to just show up unless this wasn't a class that Harry had taken yet. It would be weird for him to just show up in the next book and him not know about this ghost professor.
So we should have Professor Binns. Professor Binns should be seated at the head table.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Like, he should absolutely be there.
Do we hear about that in...
It's not written in the books. He should still be there, though, because all of the professors are. One important detail about Professor Binns, for those who don't know, is that he, in his lifetime, was also the History of Magic's professor. And then very late in life, very old and elderly man, he fell asleep in an armchair in front of a lovely fireplace. And then the next morning he got up and went to go teach class. Just happened
Left his body behind.
yeah, just didn't bring his body. So that is why he's the only ghost professor.
I do wonder how that works with current events.
I don't think it matters, because, like, he just learns them as he goes. Nicholas Flamel,
But do they have a memory?
yes, they must, because
Well, because they memorize the students. Like
they
know
memorize the students, and Flamel had said, or not Flamel.
Flamel.
Good lord.
Porpington.
Porpington, excuse me. Nicholas Porpington.
Nearly headless Nick.
Yes, nearly headless Nick. Sir Nicholas, if you don't mind. He remembers that Slytherin won the last 6 years.
That's true.
So there's definitely a memory.
There's definitely a precedence for that.
And Harry just goes on and says that history of magic is one of the most boring classes in the world.
I would tend to agree. I really didn't like history class.
Nope, me
when I was growing
neither.
up. Hated the memorization of dates, which sounds like from the books. It sounds like
much
they
the
had
same.
a lot of that, like memorizing dates of the Goblin Rebellion and the uprising of this Dark Wizard, and it's just I hated that.
Yeah.
So I can empathize with Harry there.
Oh, absolutely. Not history fans here.
They talk about transfiguration.
Harry in his little head.
Is talking about transfiguration class, and that's with Professor McGonagall, obviously.
Something
she
that
doesn't.
Yeah,
You go ahead and talk
he
about
doesn't. So in the movies, she just like is casually in cat form and then turns into Professor McGonagall.
First class.
First class. That definitely doesn't happen. It's almost like a trick she saves for, I think, the 4th year, maybe later. And instead, on their first day, you know, she invites them all into the class. She's very stern and strict, as we see in the movies. But her first demonstration of transfiguration magic is she turns her desk into a pig and then back into a desk.
It's kind of cool.
Which is wicked cool.
I wonder what her desk's pig name is. What do you call him? Kevin Bacon?
No, stop with that. I'm getting like Shribble.
That's dumb. That's a bad name.
No, it's not.
It's got to be some sort of wood name.
No, I was going. Schreib is like.
Call
I think
him
it's
Maple.
Like pen in German.
You know why you call him Maple?
Because he's a tree and Maple Bacon.
Yes.
Okay, Maple. So, fine, we'll agree with Maple. Professor McGonagall transfigures her desk into Maple the pig, and then back into her desk.
And then she talks to them about how they're going to be working on much simpler spells because transfiguration is not all fun and games. It is actually one of the most complex and dangerous forms of magic.
Do you remember what their first task is?
Don't they turn a pin into a matchstick?
Match into a needle.
Oh, is it the other way around? Okay.
Match into a needle.
Oh, yeah, right, because hers becomes a little more, Hermione's becomes a
Silver.
little more silver. That's
Yeah.
right.
So Hermione's obviously the only one that does any sort of transfiguring whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which sort of leads to Hermione becoming as ostracized as she does in the beginning.
Which is another very, 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 very important dynamic that's not set up well in the movies.
Not at all.
In the movies, they're just kind of like classmates that don't necessarily have like a lot of exchange with one another, and it's just casual and normal. In the books, Ron actively dislikes Hermione.
Yeah.
Harry could do without her.
None of the girls like Hermione.
Yeah, she's not close really with anybody. She's that little girl who doesn't fit in, but really wants to fit in, but also wants to do well, wants to live up to her parents' expectations and the professor's expectations and the people in her classes. Everything is pressure on her that doesn't need to be. And none of that's illustrated in the movies at all, which I really don't like. And the closest you get to that is that comment that Ron eventually makes to her that makes her feel bad and goes to the
bathroom. Quiet.
And we don't get any of that in the movies except for the comment, really. That's the only thing that drives any wedge between them.
Exactly.
Up to this point, he has several times basically been like, can you leave?
Dissed her.
Like, can you go away?
I'd like to invite you to not talk to me anymore.
Yeah, on the train he does that like 3 times.
Yeah, so Ron's definitely not very nice to Hermione. Hermione doesn't really invite friendship so much.
She's kind of intrusive and
Annoying. So there's that. But eventually we get to the point where we finish the exposition in Harry's head. And at that point, we're in the Great Hall having breakfast on their first day of classes.
Which is another just awesome experience. All these like marmalades and toast and all. Oh,
I'd love a Great Hall breakfast.
dude, seriously. That's something we gotta plan a whole food series.
Oh, yeah, no, we really do. Okay, anyway, so next up, Great Hall breakfast. After that,
Harry receives, well, everybody receives mail.
right, so every day the owls come in and they deliver mail. Harry never receives anything.
Right.
But on this day in particular,
He's got a letter from someone important. At least important to him, because he's the only friend other than Ron to this point that he has in the Wizarding World. And it's a letter from Hagrid.
Hagrid.
And it reads, in a very untidy scroll, Dear Harry, I know you get Friday afternoons off, so would you like to come and have a cup of tea with me around 3? I want to hear all about your first week. Send us an answer back with Edwig. Hagrid. And Harry borrows Ron's quill and scribbles, Yes, please. See you later.
And he sends his first little note.
Via owl. Yeah, I don't think he sent anything by owl yet.
No, it's so cute.
I've always wondered, how do the owls know exactly where to go?
We don't have time for this right
I
now.
know. It's magic.
It's
That's the answer.
magical.
So he has this awesome breakfast in the Great Hall. He then gets to tell Hagrid he's going to meet up with him around 3. So after all of his classes are presumably done. Sends off his first sweater via owl. So it gives him something to look forward to later in the day, which he really needs because his next class is potions.
With the Slytherins.
In Snape's classroom.
Yikes.
Snape, who he's already feeling uncomfortable about because
Right,
of
'cause
the stare at the head table.
Yeah, just like, he's like, I kind of feel like he doesn't like me. I don't know why he wouldn't like me because I don't know him.
He was wrong. He doesn't not like him.
He hates him.
He hates Harry.
Loathes him.
Entirely.
Loathe entirely.
So he goes to his first potions class, and then Snape enters with an epic monologue.
Oh, just chef's kiss. So well done.
It's definitely done differently in the books to the movies.
Yeah, so there are pieces and parts that are picked out of the books and included in the movies.
Kind of like a more artistic interpretation of the monologue.
Definitely shortened. One major thing that we miss from this monologue is Harry's retort.
Which they kind of filmed, but they still got it wrong when they filmed it.
And I don't like how they filmed it.
And in the books, no, he doesn't even say the fame isn't everything yet, does he? The tut-tut fame isn't everything? No, he does.
He does.
And then he goes on and asks him about the different potion ingredients.
Exactly. It's when he's asking his last question that Harry retorts.
Clearly, Hermione knows. Seems a pity not to ask her.
Versus in the movies,
Pity. Clearly, fame isn't everything.
and so it's a little bit different. In the movies, he's kind of like scribbling and not paying attention, hence the not pay attention, which doesn't happen in the books.
Right. It's like they tried to set it up so that Harry was inviting Snape's abuse.
Or at least attention.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives Snape an in. He doesn't need an in the books. He's just a jerk to Harry.
Right. He just goes right in and he's like, that one. I'm going to pick on that one.
So he does make the whole like celebrity kind
celebrity.
of comment. Yeah, he does do that. But again, it's interpreted differently for the movies. I'm not mad at how it was done by Alan Rickman. I think he did a great job. It's just book accurate representation. Dialogue should be the dialogue. So if that's what we're going for, make it accurate. It'll be interesting with our new Snape. What are your thoughts about presenting it word for word? Like, does it feel natural that whole engagement would happen that way?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that we can go word for word from the book.
I do think going word for word sets up Harry's response in a way that is a little bit less blatantly disrespectful.
Yeah, the version that they have in the movies is just like blatantly disrespectful.
Yeah.
The way it's written in the books is there's some disrespect.
There's some cheek,
Yeah, but it's
which
nothing.
Snape calls him on. Like, you'll be losing points for
A
your
point.
cheek.
Exactly. So I don't think it's too bad. I think it very much makes sense, and I have been pretty passionate about the fact that they include Harry's sarcasm
Yes.
in the TV show that they didn't include in the movies.
Yeah.
I think that's a disservice to everyone that exists.
Particularly Harry, because he is he's kind of a snarky person, and teenagers go through this angsty time in their life where they are a little bit snarkier.
In the movies, he gets snarkier as time goes on, but they didn't like set it up right.
I feel like young men are particularly snarky towards older men.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, just because you're older, you're not the boss of me. I'm my own man.
You're not my mom.
Not my mom, Dad. Yeah, so it's you miss out on that in the movies, and it would be a fun inclusion. He does go on to say a bit more and kind of insults the whole class in that monologue too,
Oh, yeah.
implying that they might be a bunch of dunderheads, which I've not heard that term.
Yeah, no,
until this book.
I'm unfamiliar, but I certainly hope I'm not one.
Singling him out for no apparent reason illustrates the cruelty from Snape that we come to eventually expect, basically.
Right.
And that allows for that kind of twist at the end that you're like, oh, I feel conflicted about this character. I feel like I should like him, but he was unnecessarily a dick all these years. I don't know how to feel.
Like, he's so much of a dick that Neville is standing next to Harry and working on his cauldron. It blows up, and Snape dismisses Neville to the hospital wing and then goes, Harry, why didn't you stop him?
Yeah.
How is it?
Because I'm a first year and have never brewed a potion ever in my life before. How would I know to stop him?
Right. I'm confused. That's why.
So just the singling him out. He also, favors Draco.
Oh God, so much. It's gross.
It's not a surprising thing to see because Draco is in his house. But I think the problem for Harry is that McGonagall doesn't do that. In fact,
At all.
if anything, she's harder on her own
Right.
house than anybody
McGonagall
else.
doesn't favor Gryffindors.
No. She's like, she expects the most from them because they're from her house.
Which has gotten me to thinking, if Slytherin is the house that has won the most house points and won the House Cup for 6 years in a row, and Snape is pretty easy on Slytherins, not taking any points away from them, giving a whole bunch whenever he can, and being extra aggressive when he's taking points away from Gryffindor, I'm wondering...
If you really want to win, you don't have to be completely unfair about it, but like if you were going to give your students 2 points, just give them 5.
Who's gonna know?
They're not going to know.
They're never gonna know.
They're going to know. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be like blatant about it, but you can give them a couple extra points here and there.
Exactly.
Just to pad the books a little bit.
Right, it's kind of like what Dumbledore does at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to do it anyway, you might as well just beat him to the punch.
Exactly.
They do finish up in potions, and they do eventually go to lunch with Hagrid.
Yep, they go to his hut. Ron asks, can I come meet Hagrid with you? And so Harry and Ron go to Hagrid's hut. They get there.
They eat rock cakes. Another thing that's not in the movies.
Yeah, Hagrid bakes a lot,
He
which
does,
is
yeah.
not in the movies at all.
And I think is a kind of funny twist on J.K. Rowling's interpretation of that biker guy that she based Hagrid off of.
Right.
Like this big burly dude that he's just in an apron making.
Right, he's in
baked
an
goods.
apron. He's like, loving his little dragon, and
He doesn't have his dragon yet, but he will be.
But
He will
exactly,
be.
he's the type of guy
Yeah.
to just absolutely adore animals, and he's baking. Of course, he's terrible at baking. And I am wondering if he's really good at baking for giants, like if giants would love rock cakes, because I imagine their teeth are probably stronger and
Probably.
their jaws can do a little bit more damage.
And rock cakes seem to be an actual thing because Harry recognizes what they are.
Right.
But it's horrible. Like, why would you keep making things that will break your teeth?
Right. But maybe they don't break Hagrid's teeth. Maybe they just almost break Harry and Ron's teeth.
Maybe.
So-
Or maybe he just goes, dentition reparo. It's like...
But he's not allowed to, so...
Maybe Dumbledore does it for him.
Okay. He regularly sees Dumbledore. and is
Dumbledore
like,
the dentist.
Peace out. So they have lunch and they talk, and Hagrid is like, "Oh, another Weasley."
Another Weasley.
He sees his little freckles, and they start talking about how
Your brother Charlie?
he knew it. Charlie and Hagrid absolutely adored Charlie because he was so good with animals and
Talks about chasing the twins around and trying to keep them out of trouble.
try and keep him out of the forest specifically.
Yeah.
That's like his main thing that he has to do right now. And
Which
so
makes the statement about the forest in the beginning make sense.
when Dumbledore just like lingers his gaze on the twins and is like, "Please pay attention."
And then Harry Potter spots something on the table,
Hagrid is casually reading a newspaper, the Daily Prophet.
and he spots on the front page that there's a story about a break-in at Gringotts. And he recognizes the vault that was empty and the day that it happened, and that was the day that they were there. And could this have been happening while we were there? And Hagrid gets very cagey, as he always does.
Right.
He's kind of a cagey bloke.
He's cagey and he's just not good at diffusing deception or redirecting.
At all. Shouldn't have told you that.
I should not have said that.
Which I don't think he says that line at all in the books. But I love that Robbie Coltrane did that.
I was going to say, that is a Robbie Coltrane exclusive.
Yeah, shouldn't have told you that.
Not have said that.
So he doesn't do a good job of hiding that whole situation from Harry.
No,
he just
Harry,
kind of
like-
basically tells him to stop talking about it.
Well, he doesn't tell him that outright. Harry
No,
just
yeah.
feels like Harry's like, "I feel like he avoided my gaze there." And like, he definitely redirected there. Like, Harry is like just following, like,
The social cues.
yeah,
Yeah.
the poor social cues that Hagrid engages in.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it's an adorable little lunch where Harry has this adult who is positively taking an investment in his success as a student and in his life. But during it, there's some steps that are taken leading to the Sorcerer's Stone.
That's essentially the end of the chapter. We
Yeah.
end up ending with his lunch, and he was actually in better spirits after having had that lunch. So it was
Right.
something good for him to look forward to. I think they took a bunch of rock cakes and put them in their pockets.
So that he thought they were eating them.
Yeah, and then they were just going to ditch them later. What were the big things in this chapter that you would reparo, so to speak, for the TV show that were left out?
Peeves. I need a little bit more about Peeves for sure.
I think any opportunity to include him, they should.
Agreed.
Because it's fun.
Potentially annoying, but we'll see, depending on how it's done.
If he says the word conk.
Exactly. That was my fear. I think we need to include Professor Binns
Yep.
and History of Magic,
Particularly so that it can set up the next.
the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah. We didn't talk about this, but he goes to Charms class too.
Yep.
And Flitwick's appearance is totally different in the movies. He had 2 different appearances. We talked about this before in another episode. Let's keep it just consistent.
Yeah, let's not have an entire personality shift.
Especially because the person who played both Flitwicks
Is this
is
person
the same person.
Warwick Davis?
Yeah, playing it again. And it would be nice to have one appearance that's different than the films, both of them in the films, but consistent for the whole TV series.
Exactly.
Hagrid's hut was done differently in the movies too. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I think they don't go to Hagrid's hut until it's all 3 of them, right? Or do Harry and Ron take a trip to Hagrid's?
So I think you're right. In the movies, I don't know that they take their own trip. I think all 3 of them do. I'll have to go back and watch the first movie again to confirm that. But what I meant was the actual hut was different.
Oh, yes. Or like
it was like one building.
it was like one octagonal.
Yeah, and in the movies it was like 2.
Well, but in the first movie it was one octagonal, but later in the movies they added a second addition.
Yeah.
You renovated?
I think you're right. Maybe what was in the first movie was like there was like this almost shed built off of it. I don't know. There was something different about how they represented it, and it's literally just supposed to be one big room. I think his bed or whatever is supposed to be there, or I don't know if they mentioned the bed.
Yeah, they do.
It's all in one
Isn't
space.
Fang on it?
Yes, that's right. The reason I think that's like it's important to keep that true is because it's kind of weird, number one, that you're inviting kids into what is the equivalent of your studio apartment with your bed just sitting right there and all that kind of stuff. And like, we're just totally okay with professors doing that. Could you imagine that nowadays?
No, obviously no. No.
Like a kid goes to a professor's studio apartment where his bed's just
just
there.
imagine that a kid goes to a boarding school and he's ever invited into one of his teacher's bedrooms. Ever.
Yeah, because any room in there is your bedroom. It's all one room. The other part of that is it also plays into the whole, like, this is Hagrid's life.
Right.
He's just here. Everything he has is here.
You can see it.
Maybe that's the reason he's so bad at keeping secrets, is everything about his life is always on display.
That's fair.
Even the fact that he's a giant, like, you can't hide that. And he's almost not, he doesn't say it, but he's almost not embarrassed of it later when he does kind of say it to somebody else.
Yeah, and she is horrified.
So those are the major differences that we spotted between the books and the movies, and we're hoping that there'll be a lot more consistency for the upcoming TV series. Particularly with the inclusions of the important characters that we've continued to point out.
Character inclusion is absolutely my most important piece.
And I do think keep the dialogue. It's already written for you. You don't need to interpret it differently. It's done well, but it does need to be interpreted differently
Yeah,
if you have the time.
I don't need your take.
That seems so mean, but yes, it's true. I mean, he's just saying what we're all thinking.
Sorry about that.
Leave your comments below. Let us know what you thought of the discrepancies in this one. Not as many in this one as there have been in previous chapters, but there's still plenty of them. What do you think the important misses are that need to be done right? What are you excited to see that will be new because of this chapter being done book accurate? And leave your comments below on that. If you have anything that you think we missed, please point that out too. You know, we try to do our best to get every little item here, but if you think we missed something else that was a big deal, point it out below.
Eric's not perfect.
I'm damn near, but not quite. But until next time, make sure that you keep your wands at the ready.
And stay magical.
Finite.